Well, hello everybody, Larry Young here, and on today's installment of Living Life with Purity, I want to talk about what it is that makes the devil stronger. What it is that we do or don't do that gives the devil power and the feeling that he can come in and take over you and those around you, and even, in a way, an entire society as is going on. So, I know a lot of people are familiar with the old prophecies about the end of times when right will be wrong and wrong will be right and all these other things. So I know there's a lot of talk going on in the world right now that we are in that phase right now. We may or may not be. I mean, the evidence is pretty suggestive. But I want to also talk a little bit about some of the words that are being used today with different groups of people in our society and our world, mainly between oppressed and oppressor. And this seems to be very, very fluid in the way it's spoken and the way it's utilized. And we had a really, really bad situation here last October the 6th when a group of people from one side of a border jumped over the border and went over and mercilessly killed about 1,500 people, took a number of people hostage and are still holding them and won't even talk about it. They act like they had the moral imperative to do what they did. And a lot of people in the world within 24 hours of this heinous act agreed with them. And so here we are looking at a determined set of factors going in here and people wanting to distort what those factors are for their own rhetoric that they want to explore and put across to knowing people around the world and in their own backyards that the oppressors are really the ones who are oppressed. And they are the ones who deserve all the rights, and they're the ones that need to be given all the grants and subsidies and all the ability to change the narrative as they see fit. Now, this also goes on in our local communities. It goes on all over. We see people wanting to play this card or that card if something is charged against them. They want to sit there and make whoever's making the accusation or trying to hold these people accountable to be the oppressor, and that they need to be put down. And if that doesn't work and they don't get their audience to change tunes very quickly, they easily revert, and quite noticeably they'll revert to higher tones in their talking points. They will start shouting, and they'll inevitably call the other person a racist, a Nazi, or fascist, and things like that. Now, fascists, when I studied about the roles of these type of people back in college, a fascist wasn't looking to just run their own country or province or whatever. They wanted the entire world. They weren't looking for just one little bit. They were looking for total domination. That's what a fascist wants to think about. A dictator is going to take care of his own little kettle of fish there, as they say, but not a fascist. So I don't even think these people really know what these words mean. And if Adolf Hitler is still coherent and wherever he's at, and I imagine he's in the depths of hell right now, but when he sees people calling other people Nazis in this day and age, I'm sure he's laughing his butt off, thinking they want to see a Nazi. They don't even know what a Nazi is. So let's, kind of go back a little bit and see how Hitler even became Hitler. Now, Hitler was influenced by an event that happened in 1910. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with the term Young Turks. And Young Turks is probably taken on kind of a bohemian sort of tone, that a young Turk is somebody who's up and coming or something like that, has something to be noticed. Well, the Young Turks in 1910, as they were called, they were the ones that rose up and started a genocide campaign against the Armenians in Turkey. And so it wasn't a good thing, but these young Turks rose up and they killed just hundreds of thousands, if not more, Armenian people, just slaughtered them. Now, nobody did anything. The world sat by and did nothing, absolutely nothing. Well, there was a guy who was paying attention at that time. That was one young Adolf Hitler. He noticed that this was going on, and he saw a positive response and that you can do heinous things and no one's going to stop it. So that's, I think, where Hitler got his okay to go ahead and do what he did later on. He figured, well, if they want to go after the Armenians, I can clean out a bunch of Jewish people then too, and no one's going to stop me. And quite literally, nobody did until the Axis was met by the opposing forces there with Britain and France, and then finally the U.S. joining in. I don't think Hitler expected the U.S. to join the battle, and he was probably a little bit irritated with the Japanese when they decided to take out Pearl Harbor that day. So, all right, so that being said, how does the devil get his strength? Well, in the situation I just told you about with the young Turks, they got their strength and their resolve because nobody did anything. And nowadays what you have is you have these oppressors and the oppressed and things like this. And the folks who want to sit there and say that they're the oppressed, what they want to do is they want to sit there and say that the devil is just an imaginary part of your thinking, just along with the concept of God. So when they try to take God and the devil out of the discussion, if you deny the devil, that's his greatest strength right there, to say that the devil doesn't exist. That allows the devil to have free reign in your community, in your heart, and in your families. Hopefully not. It's not getting that far. But you don't ever want to let people try to push this crazy notion upon you that God doesn't exist and the devil is a fallacy. The devil is very, very real, and the devil is hard at work right now. And I'll tell you about something that's going on right now. I was notified of just today, is that there are fake miraculous medals and St. Benedict medals and other medals to deal with not only Catholic tradition, but other traditions that are being made in foreign countries. They're being offered up very, very inexpensively, and this is getting the buyers to click on these products to purchase large bags of hundreds or thousands of these things, bringing them into their communities and their stores, and they're selling these. And if you take a look at your, especially the smaller miraculous medals, if you happen to have one out there, you will notice something very, very distinct about them if you look at the face of the Virgin Mary who's supposed to be on it. Typically, the face of the Virgin Mary will be beautiful, will have a downward-looking pose as she's looking down at the ground rather than at you in this pose. And in these medallions I saw, they have a face of a hideous monster, an evil skeleton in that place. And it's very easy to miss if you're not paying attention. On the back side of the medallion, we looked up above the cross, and in the stars that went around the ring of the medallion, at the very top was actually a pentagram that they buried in there behind the star. And so if you look very closely, you'll see an actual pentagram above the cross that's on the back there. Now, this is definitely an attempt by these foreign companies to infiltrate and to basically shut down the effect of what it is you're trying to do as a holy warrior, if that's what we want to call these folks. But you have to be very, very careful about what's going on in the world right now and what people are saying and what they're doing. So check your medallions, make sure that they're correct. They're not these fraudulent ones that have evil all over them. Make sure you're careful with anything else that you bring into your home. Now, all came products of China. So let's take a look at those things. Let's make sure that if you're carrying something on your person or have it in your home, take care of it correctly. If it's bad, let's get rid of it. Suggestion is to store it in holy water or blessed salt until you can get a pair of snippers to cut them and destroy them and get them out of your home. I suggest very strongly to try to cut those with a pair of heavy pliers if you can. Now, we were told about this and that this would happen many times, and we've kind of ignored it. And I want to go back to a story that was told by Archbishop Fulton Sheen, and it was given to me actually by Father Havel, who was one of his contemporaries and helped write the first 2 seasons of Fulton Sheen's fabulously successful TV show called Life is Worth Living. Well, Father Havel was one of the co-writers on that. And he was very fond of telling me about a story that Fulton Sheen had said one time. And I'm going to paraphrase it. Fulton Sheen told it in the form of a poem, and I'll try to dig it up and add it onto the end of this segment if I can. But what Fulton Sheen did is he told a story about a man who was feeling the heavy weight of the world upon him and was feeling that he just needed to go on and clean his plate. So he went to church, and he was going to try to go to Mass and to confession and to try to clean his soul. So he got to church, and there was no priest there. He sat there and he waited a while, and no priest showed up. Finally, the maintenance guy comes in, and the old fella asked the maintenance guy, says, "Well, where's the priest today?" And the fella says, "Well, he's out protesting right now. He's not here. He's out protesting." And the fella didn't ask him what he was protesting, but he said, "Well, he's not here." He says, "I'll wait a little bit." Well, the priest never came back. And so the maintenance guy comes back around again. The old fella asks him, says, "Well, what's going on? Why is he not here? We need him here." And the old man says, "Well, I think maybe you need to ask somebody who can give you the answer. I think you need to ask God." So the fellow, he went back to praying, and he asked God for an answer on this. Where's the priest? Why is he not here? And, who's in charge? Who's in charge? What's going on? And so this man asked God, who's in charge here? So God sent the man an angel, and the angel came down, and the man asked the angel, he says, "I've been here. I've been trying to get Mass. I've been trying to get confession. I've been trying to take care of myself and my soul. What's going on? And who's in charge?" And the angel looked at him directly and said, "The devil is in charge." And so with that, what we find out is that the world kind of yielded its position of faith and its responsibility in taking care of its relationship with God and honoring God, and has replaced him with many other false idols. And a lot of these are just on the path to power. So what we need to do is we need to be careful. We need to be aware. And you need to look around you and see these signs. Watch for the language changing. Watch for any attempt to take God out of the discussion. Now, you've got a lot of politician types, and you've got a lot of media types who want to sit there and kind of laugh at the notion of there being a God. They look at you with this funny look of disdain, like, "You poor child, you're not smart like we are, you don't know." Well, these are the people that are fostering the most evil that we have right now. And if you take the time to watch and look and listen, you'll understand that. So we need to be very, very careful about what the words are used, if they're changing things around, if they start to lose a debate about something, wait for their voices to go up and the rhetoric to turn to racism or Nazism and these other things, and the eliminate democracy, these types of things. It's just not true. So we need to pray on these things. You need to be constant about it, and check your devotional items, especially if you've gotten them recently here in the last year or so. It may have gotten under your radar. You may not have looked at them that closely because they all are so small. The smaller they are, the easier they can get it past you. So look at them, make sure that they're clean and they're not these evil type images that you might be carrying with you. If you have them, get them out of your life, get them out of your home, destroy them, do the best you can with that. If you need the help of a priest, get that. But let's take care of ourselves. So I'm going to keep today's message kind of short on that one there. And I do want to then call attention to this wonderful set of books right here called The Mystical City of God. And in many parlances, it is called The City of God. Well, these were written by Mary of Agreda in Spain back in the 1600s. They tell the life of the Holy Family from a sort of tell-all view that she wrote down back in the 1600s. This is not gospel, but it is very formative to how you go about living your life if you want to live a life of purity and understand how the Holy Family had troubles in their lives, but how they dealt with it too. So they weren't immune to the problems, and we're not either. So here's your example. Now, my good friend Alex Fiato, who normally sits here, he has put down a really nice primer on this, which is his lecture on the books in the series. He's going to break them down chapter by chapter for you as we go forward with this. But he did lay down a few good segments here that are good formative basis for you to get an understanding of what these books are about and how these are going to help you understand what evil is and what evil isn't in our world, and how we can keep evil from becoming part and parcel of our families, our lives, or attaching itself to us in any way. So sorry to bring this in today, but we need to be very, very careful about things that are going on in our world, and make sure that if somebody's coming back into your home with rhetoric that sounds like this, you want to dial down on that and figure out what's going on, how it happened, and if you can, eliminate it and try to keep the positive side up. So we're going to get through this, and it's going to be a tough ride this summer, like I said, but be aware and stay vigilant on these things. So we'll get through it. I love you. Hang in there. See you next time.